Uchiha Madara and Hashirama team up for ultimate battlefield domination. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 11. Just when the Dragon Kingdom audience was still speechless watching the battle between Susanoo and the Pillar, a voice suddenly rang out across the Dragon Kingdom live broadcast room. Dragon Kingdom players were detected to encounter the Forbidden Land Beast. Class D Fierce Beast Wind Speed Ice Wolf. Wind Speed Ice Wolf, a wolf clan whose appearance is covered by Shan Ice. It's as fast as the wind. Brutal and murderous. When its swarms appeared, even ordinary sea-level beasts had to back down. Hint: in the National Forbidden Land, the levels of beasts, resources, and treasures, from small to large, are F, E, D, C, B, A, S, SS, and SSS. After the broadcast sound of the D-level Fierce Beast Wind Speed Ice Wolf appeared, the Dragon Nation was almost instantly petrified. Such a powerful fierce beast actually encountered the Dragon Kingdom players. That's it. And the audience also knows the rules of the national embargo. The hints and related information of the appearance of the fierce beast will only appear in the live broadcast room, and the players in the national transport embargo cannot hear it. Unless people from the outside are willing to use the once-a-week barrage opportunity to remind the contestants. At this time, in the live broadcast room, the line of sight switches to a small white in the distance. In the picture, a white wolf with a height of nearly 1 meter and a length of 2 or 3 meters appears not far away. Looking closer, this Wind Speed Ice Wolf still had a severed hand in its mouth. Its mouth was bloody and its eyes were full of violence. After the Wind Speed Ice Wolf approached, he saw the gate and Bayuekue, and even more grinned, saliva and broken hand blood mixed together, dripping down. Leave a line of blood on the snow. Ordinary people who see such a terrible scene will inevitably be frightened and scattered, panic and run away from here. As soon as they saw this scene, the people of the Dragon Kingdom were secretly crying bitterly. Ah, sleeper, this familiar severed hand, is he the Wind Speed Ice Wolf who fought the Monkey Country and fled before? Anyone who has been to the Monkey Country live broadcast room in the neighboring country of the Dragon Kingdom knows the horror of this D-level fierce beast Wind Speed Ice Wolf. Just now, the Monkey Nation players encountered the D-level fierce beast Wind Speed Ice Wolf, and they almost destroyed the whole army. This D-level fierce beast, Wind Speed Ice Wolf, rushed into their ranks, tearing left and right, as if entering no man's land. Monkey Country players can only flee in a hurry, completely unable to resist. There is also a person who is directly bitten by the right arm and can only decisively abandon his arm to survive. If it weren't for the fact that Monkey Kingdom had previously been rewarded with the National Forbidden Land, had flash bombs, and used decisively at this time, almost blinding the eyes of the Wind Speed Ice Wolf, none of them could escape. So at this time, the Dragon Kingdom audience lost their voices and exclaimed, "That's right. It's the same wolf that Monkey Kingdom encountered, that's it. Our two teammates were still fighting. This wolf is so fast, by the time they notice it, it's too late." Susanoo and Zhujian fought so intently, it is estimated that the sky is collapsing here, and they will not pay attention to it. Even if Uzumaki and Bayuekue find the Wind Speed Ice Wolf in time, what can they do? Are they going to run away? Are you going to abandon Susanoo and the Pillar? At this time, people from other countries, naturally, will not miss such a good opportunity, and have begun to occupy the barrage area. Oh, isn't this the Dragon Kingdom people who have always been very united? We would like to see if your country can still work together when the enemy appears. Let me boldly speculate that Susanoo and the two companions next to the Pillar will definitely abandon them, and then, Susanoo and the Pillar may still fight, even if they are bitten to death by wolves, they will definitely continue to attack the enemy in front of them. At this time, foreign audiences were all looking at the Dragon Country players with happiness, hoping that they would be completely destroyed immediately. In the national embargo, the player dies, and the bound country will also receive the penalty of resource reduction. Meantime, it can also let the whole world see the human weaknesses of the Dragon Nation. At that time, they will be able to taunt the Dragon Kingdom people. Selfish. There is no big picture. Indulge in hatred. That would give the Dragon Kingdom a double whammy of resources and spirit. As soon as I think about it, countless people begin to have an orgasm in their brains. The Dragon Kingdom audience was only worried about their own players, and there was no time to pay attention to these yin and yang weird people. Oh, my god. What to do? It's over. Bayuekue, Susanoo, Pillar, and Uzumaki, and others, should they be killed here? At a time when the audience was worried. On the screen, the perspective switches to Susanoo, Pillar, Uzumaki, and Bayuekue, and others. Susanoo and Zhujian were still fighting inextricably. Although Susanoo has the upper hand, the battle between the two world-class strongmen will certainly not end so quickly. Bayuekue and Akima turned around together, frowning, looking at a small white in the distance. Although the wind speed ice wolf walking on the snow is not very loud, and the distance is still very far. But Bayuekue and Hatsuma could clearly feel it. Watching this wind speed ice wolf gradually approaching, Bayuekue quickly drew his sword. Boom! A dragon groan echoed through the sky. The sound of drawing the sword seemed to be able to cut through the void and reverberate in this ice field. Seeing Bayuekue's eager look, he looked at her several times in surprise. However, Hatma, who did not understand Bayuekue's strength, did not intend to let Bayuekue take a shot. In the absence of certainty, for the safety of the Dragon Kingdom team, the Hatsuma must be the first to strike. It's his responsibility. He looked at the wind speed ice wolf, cold as frost said, "My eldest brother and Ban are fighting, and it's not your turn to interfere with them." As soon as the words fell, a powerful and incomparable killing chi was suddenly released from the body of the door. And swept around. Airplanes. Bayuekue and the wind speed ice wolf were suddenly shocked. Although the people in the Dragon Kingdom live broadcast room could not feel it, they were close at hand, and naturally they could clearly feel this terrifying and murderous spirit. In particular, Bayuekue next to him had already shown a surprised face and looked at the door. "You." Before Bayuekue could say anything, the wolf suddenly whimpered. The severed hand in his mouth also fell directly to the ground. The red blood in its eyes was even deeper, as if it was about to stare out. I was even more horrified. What exactly does this thing exist? This is at least the powerful killing chi that can be cultivated after being born into death for many years and killing countless enemies. Although at this time, he still had an indifferent face, similar to his previous expression. The movement was still very arrogant, wrapping his hands around his chest, and he didn't even touch his own sword. But the wind speed ice wolf did not dare to move lightly. The figure stopped, the claws constantly rubbed the ground, and looked at the door with fear. Roar. And after that, he also shifted his gaze to Suban and the two people between the pillars. Suban and Zhu Jian were still fighting, and they didn't even look at them much. Too lazy to pay attention. This is contempt for the ants. Seeing the peak duel between Suban and the pillar, the wind speed ice wolf was even more shocked. Although Suban and Pillar Jian were the top masters, when fighting, they would not spread too much killing chi to the surrounding areas. But even a hint of murderous chi was enough to make this weak wind speed ice wolf tremble with fear. This can be described as a wolf into a tiger's den. If the murderous chi between the doors has already made the wind speed ice wolf afraid, the existence between the Su spot and the pillar is to make the wind speed ice wolf shudder. You have to run. Otherwise, you will inevitably die. Of course, at this time. Seeing the wind speed ice wolf's wide eyes and fierce look, the Dragon Kingdom audience did not know it, and would only cry out. That's it. The wolf was really hungry, and even if he had one hand, he still couldn't eat enough. His eyes are red, and he guesses he's going to kill crazy. Even at this time, he didn't try to persuade his brother to run quickly. Did he also think that there was no way to stop this brother's fight with Suban? Then no matter what we Dragon Kingdom viewers do, there is no way to eliminate their hatred. On the screen. However, just when everyone was talking about it, this wind speed ice wolf didn't think much about it, and then suddenly turned around and ran away. Even the broken hand that had just fallen had no time to pick it up. The wind speed ice wolf was panicked, and even slipped under his feet and fell into a small ice pit. Thump. However, it quickly crawled with a rolling belt and ran forward without turning its head. How imposing the wind speed ice wolf was when it appeared just now, and how powerful it was when it disappeared now. It's very different from the previous performance. This made the Dragon Kingdom people who had just been afraid for a short time be confused. What the hell is this? This wind speed ice wolf actually seemed to be instigated, and immediately fled? Are their Dragon Kingdom players safe and sound? How many lives have you picked up? What a great piece of good news. Still, the good news came so suddenly that they still couldn't believe it. Don't even dare to cheer. I was still wondering in my heart, shouldn't you be dreaming? At this time, the national transport embargo was in the middle of the land. Although Bayuekue was also a little blind, he also knew that one of the reasons why the wind speed ice wolf escaped was because of the man next to him. As soon as he thought of his three teammates, Bayuekue had mixed feelings. You must know that just now, in the battle between Suban and the pillar, the battle elf has never dared to participate. Suban and Zhu Jian didn't seem to look at the door either. From this point of view, is it that Suban and the pillar are much more terrifying than this one? Originally seeing that the battle between Suban and the pillar was so fierce, Bayuekue was already very jealous. But after all, he was not in it, and Suban and Zhu Jian did not release murderous chi on her, so Bayuekue did not have much profound understanding. Only then did she finally know how terrible these three people dressed in armor, like people from ancient times, were. But while they are powerful, there is still a problem. When will Suban and Pillar Jian stop fighting? Thinking of this, Bayuekue's face was still very sad. Someone as powerful as Suban and Zhu Jian really couldn't just meddle in their battles and stop them. Episode 12, Now. Bayuekue looked at the battle between Suban and the pillar, and his mentality was very different from before. Looking at the dominant Suban, she couldn't help but feel a little curious and itchy. A man as powerful as Suban made both the door and the pillar so jealous. Who is he? Is he really just enjoying the battle between the pillars? Are the players of this national embargo and other countries not taken seriously by him? Thinking about it, I saw Suban's battle posture with ease, as well as the domineering face that flew freely, but did not lose the sense of oppression. Bayuekue was stupid for a while. What Suban and Zhu Jian had said before also slowly came to her mind. The domineering words they say are really not bragging. Aren't Suban and Pillar between themselves in their heyday? Do they have more powerful means of concealment? What exactly are they from? It's unimaginable. Bayuekue couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth slightly, so that this frozen snow field had added a lot of spring feelings. She is even more looking forward to the next trip to the national embargo. And on the other side, although Suban, Pillar, Gate and Bayuekue and others are still calm, in the Dragon Kingdom live broadcast room at this time, it is a stone that stirs up thousands of waves. After the crowd was stunned for a long time, they suddenly erupted into a dense barrage. Sleeper, what the hell? I'm stupid, how did this wolf run? Shocked me for 10,000 years, not only did he run, but even the broken hand he had originally bitten off. Don't want it, is he hell? Don't you see that there are 4 Dragon Kingdom people here, so you don't dare to act rashly? Could it be that before, when the Monkey Nation players resisted, the Wind Speed Ice Wolf was slashed and injured a little, so he didn't do it? But it doesn't seem to be either, right? The Wind Speed Ice Wolf was indeed not seriously injured. This monkey country is really useless, and it is just a little skin to break through the Wind Speed Ice Wolf. And after that, others have begun to make bold guesses. I say one possibility, just maybe. Will he be scared away by our Dragon Nation? Ah. That's right. Bayuekue and Uzumaki both had knives, and Suban and Zhu Jian fought so fiercely, they would definitely scare away the Wind Speed Ice Wolf. Of course, someone immediately retorted, oh hee, how is this possible? You Dragon Kingdom people are so weak, how can you scare away this wolf? I think you just ate. Maybe this wolf suddenly lost his heart and went crazy. It may just be that he was injured just now, and now the wound is attacking, or maybe he noticed that there was a problem with the climate here and thought that there was going to be a snowstorm here, so he wanted to escape. Anyway, these people were trying to explain the reason why this Wind Speed Ice Wolf escaped, that is, they were unwilling to admit that they were dragon people. After all, the Dragon Kingdom people did not shoot either. So they couldn't believe in the strength of the Dragon Kingdom players. Although the Dragon Kingdom audience was also wondering at this time, it did not prevent them from desperately blowing Suban and others. Oh, it must be because the fight between our Suban and the pillar is really too terrible, and it will scare this Wind Speed Ice Wolf away. We Dragon Kingdom players are also martial arts masters, and all of them are imposing, and they still hold weapons. It's normal to scare this wolf away. Just now, the people in the Monkey Kingdom didn't have any spiritual chi, so the Wind Speed Ice Wolf was not afraid at all. The Wind Speed Ice Wolf felt that the Monkey Country was a bully, so he came to deal with the Monkey Country players. To talk about the spiritual temperament of the dragon people, we have accumulated more than 5,000 years of pride in our genes, as well as the temperament of self-improvement. Definitely not comparable to you foreigners. Taiyang Xingjian, a gentleman who keeps improving himself. Anyway, on the surface at this time, it was their Dragon Kingdom that had defeated this Wind Speed Ice Wolf. So of course, they have to seize this hard-won opportunity to praise the Dragon Country players. After all, after that, there may not be such a good moment. This can also be regarded as appeasing the audience of the Dragon Country, so that everyone continues to be confident in their own players. This is to stabilize the people's hearts and minds. And at this time, the host of the program, Bing Bing, of course, also wants to blow Suban and others, but after all, as the official host, it still has to be justified, so it is not easy to be embarrassed to blow Su's spot. She began to ask about the other guests. Distinguished guests. What do you think is the reason for this Wind Speed Ice Wolf to escape? Just now, this Wind Speed Ice Wolf, even the 4 people in the Monkey Kingdom are not opponents. Why were you directly scared away when you arrived here in the Dragon Kingdom? After hearing these words, the other guests were surprised in their hearts, but also had a look of doubt. Wild survival expert Beiyu began to think seriously. I don't know. Maybe this wind speed ice wolf feels some unknown threat. It may be that the players of the Dragon Kingdom, such as Suban and Pillar Ma, are really not simple, so after letting him observe closely, he felt that he should run away. After all, as a creature in the Forbidden Land, he is also somewhat intelligent, so he will not do anything that he is not sure about. And the wind speed ice wolf is originally a social animal, in the absence of absolute certainty. I still don't think there's any need to shoot. Bei's analysis is indeed reasonable. After hearing these words from the other party, Bing Bing suddenly thought of something, and couldn't help but lose his color. If you say that, is it possible for them to move the rescue troops? Will it call more than a dozen wind speed ice wolves over? Zhang Zhao, who was flickering in the bureau, showed a difficult face and said slowly, there is no mistake in saying it, and this possibility cannot be ruled out, so the Dragon Country players still can't be paralyzed at this time. After all, the prompt of the National Forbidden Land said that the wind speed ice wolf is a social animal. If the group moves, it can even be comparable to a sea-level fierce beast. After hearing this, the Dragon Kingdom people also realized that there were still hidden risks. Therefore, he was still extremely worried about Suban, Pillar Jian, Wu Jian, and Baiyu Kuei. What if the wind speed ice wolf really made a comeback and called his accomplices? Afterwards, although the entire audience at this time was very eager to figure out the reason for the escape of this wind speed ice wolf, but everyone does not have the live broadcast perspective of this wind speed ice wolf, so they can only guess randomly. And at this time, the foreign devils also seized the opportunity and continued to taunt. That's right, this wind speed ice wolf is just going to find a large army, and sooner or later it will destroy your Dragon Kingdom. So don't be happy too soon. Originally, you still had a chance to escape, but when the large army of wind speed ice wolves arrived, you would definitely have no way to the heavens and no door to the earth. They can't wait to know what's next. See if the wolf pack of wind speed ice wolves will appear and destroy the Dragon Kingdom. The other side. This wind speed ice wolf, which was scared away by the door, really ran to the place where the wolf pack was located. Whoops, one of the wind speed ice wolves, the head wolf, began to ask what happened to the lone wolf. The lone wind speed ice wolf tried to explain, trying to render the strength of the door. But this wind speed ice wolf is only an animal after all. Although it has a certain amount of wisdom in the national embargo, it cannot reach the point of accurate communication with language. Anyway, this wolf still didn't want to believe that there was such a terrible existence in this national embargo. And after that, the head wolf actually led the other wind speed ice wolf members and began to look for nearby humans. As they walked, they soon smelled the strange smell in the air. This is the smell of mysterious humans. Although I don't know which way it is, it must be a foreign human from the outside world. With the idea of defending the dignity of the wolf tribe and hunting delicacies, he roared with majesty and anger, and immediately ordered the wolves to rush up. Let these humans see the power of the wind speed ice wolf. At this time, where the Lighthouse Nation players are located, their eyes were blazing, looking around for the beasts and resources of the Forbidden Land. Looking forward to doing a big job here. Jack, who was holding the telescope, suddenly shouted excitedly, there is a row of moving dots in the distance, and there seems to be some fierce beast, but it should not be very large. When the other lighthouse people heard this, they immediately prepared their weapons. Haha. Finally, I can do a big job. Our Lighthouse Nation can dominate the whole world, even the national embargo is no exception. I don't know what level of beast this can be. Him. C level, B level, A level. We are not afraid, soon. Outside in the live room. The sound of the national embargo is all over the world. Detected that the Lighthouse Country players encountered 13 national forbidden beasts. Class D Fierce Beast Wind Speed Ice Wolf. Wind Speed Ice Wolf, a wolf clan whose appearance is covered by Shan ice. It's as fast as the wind. Brutal and murderous. When its swarms appeared, even ordinary sea-level beasts had to back down. Hint, in the National Forbidden Land, the levels of beasts, resources, and treasures, from small to large, are F, E, D, C, B, A, S, SS, and SSS. Wind Speed Ice Wolf's troops, and the Lighthouse Nation officially meet. Episode 13. As soon as I saw this D-class fierce beast, it was still 13 after that. The spectators in the Lighthouse Nation were thrilled. Haha, it's finally time for us to play. What we do best is fire coverage. The weapons of the Dragon Kingdom are like toys in front of us, as they famously said before, they are millet plus rifles. People in other countries are also sighing at this time. They all came to their knees and licked the lighthouse people. Haha, of course my big brother of the lighthouse country is strong. It's also an honor for us to be their little brother. You must let the people of the Dragon Kingdom know what a true strong person is. Father of the Lighthouse Nation will definitely use his hard power to destroy these wind speed ice wolves. The contestants in Sakura Kingdom should also cheer up and hurry up to find other beasts and resources. In the national embargo, the people of the Lighthouse Nation are all gearing up and preparing to do a big job. Looking at the several fierce wolves that were coming, they immediately attacked with clicking. Dense bullets completely enveloped the wind speed ice wolf. They pour ammunition on the wind speed ice wolf without reservation. Countless bullets immediately stirred up a shower of blood on these wind speed ice wolves. The people of the lighthouse are very excited. Ha ha ha, that's how strong our country is. Even an ordinary citizen has a way to arm himself to the extreme. You don't need such fancy kung fu, you only need the simplest and most brutal means. Even if it is an A-level or even an S-level beast, we can easily solve it. Countless lighthouse people felt that they had finally found the field and began to laugh wildly, even provoking the Dragon Kingdom there. Ha 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 ha, you Dragon Nation people may also have to thank us for the Lighthouse Nation. This group of wind speed ice wolves has found our lighthouse people, then they will have to be eliminated by us in advance. Otherwise, under the help of the lone wind speed ice wolf just now, maybe the large army of wolves will really come to destroy your Dragon Kingdom, so you will sigh that you have picked up a life. However, looking at it, their faces suddenly began to change dramatically. Because after a puff of smoke, they found, these bullets only inflicted skin trauma on the beast. Roar. 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 Although the wind speed ice wolf grinned in pain and roared, it still continued to charge unstoppably. After seeing that the lighthouse people had actually injured themselves, they were very angry. These abominable human beings. When you come to the national transport embargo, do you really think you can do whatever you want? They must be shown the power of the earth snake. Therefore, under the command of the wind speed ice wolf head wolf, the entire wolf pack roared and rushed over. In addition, they all have the initial intelligence, so they know to disperse the formation, and they also have the consciousness of the snake-like position. This makes it much more difficult to aim at the Lighthouse Nation. And the speed of these wind speed ice wolves is indeed as good as the name suggests. Fast as the wind. Therefore, the lighthouse people who were originally just standing in the same place and strafing were immediately a little panicked. No, this guy's skin seems to be really thick. It's much thicker than an elephant or anything. Fark. How can they run as fast as cheetahs? I can't hit a few bullets at all. Unless there is a Maxim heavy machine gun. The lighthouse players all continued to shoot while retreating. This is to keep a distance from the wolves. Others took out grenades and prepared to throw them. But they didn't have time to escape. Within seconds, the wolves were close at hand. The wind speed ice wolf headed by the group opened its mouth widely, and the vicious scene in its mouth was clearly visible. A front tooth nearly the length of a palm, hanging from the windward, fluttering saliva. Add to that scarlet, blood-soaked eyes. It seems to be about to choose someone to eat. People with a slightly worse psychological quality may be scared to pee their pants on the spot. Even these excellent lighthouse people are still missing 6 souls for this reason. These wind speed ice wolves are as big as the tigers on Earth. Coupled with the fact that it is covered with ice blocks similar to steel, these bullets can cause damage, but they are not yet fatal. The arrogant lighthouse people, only then did they realize, the power of his own weapon will not be enough for a moment. And although they can come up with a lot of thermal weapons, they can't really get exaggerated weapons such as Gatling and howitzers. Therefore, nature cannot crush the wind speed ice wolf. Thinking of this, the pace of their retreat was already messy. If you don't try to solve these wolves, then they are likely to be completely annihilated. Not bad. We've lost sight of these wolves, and these wolves are really hard to deal with. Retreat. Look for another opportunity to get back on the field later. Escape matters. Although they exploded at an unprecedented speed, they tried their best to escape. But this is not worth mentioning at all, compared to the speed of the wind speed ice wolf. After that, Jack, who was closest to the wolves, was caught up. Seeing the wolves close at hand, Jack could only pull out his gun and shoot behind him, while stumbling and desperately trying to escape. Aha, Fark. Don't come here. Kevin. Come and save me. George. Ah. At this time, surrounded by wolves helplessly, Jack is at the end of his rope. The wind speed ice wolf vented all the bitterness of the injury he had just been wounded on Jack. Roar, hiss, ah, the terrible sound that tingles in the scalp continues. Although the live broadcast room deliberately did not put the camera in Jack's picture. But the audience will know exactly what a bloody and disgusting scene this will be. However, in a few moments, Jack, the lighthouse player, has been seriously injured and is dying. Jack's heart was completely desperate. It's like being in hell. Hopeless. And after that, the rest of the wind speed ice wolves that did not surround Jack also set their sights on George and the others. Wolves are on the horizon. Prepare to destroy the lighthouse countrymen. Kevin Harrison, George Smith, Bryce Armstrong can only swing their bodies and continue to escape. There is hardly any hope in my heart. The mentality of these lighthouse people collapsed, and for the first time, they felt so small and powerless. At the same time, I feel the breath of death. Like the speed of these wind speed ice wolves, they absolutely can't escape. This is really over. Episode 14. The lighthouse players are scared to death. They can only fight with the wind speed ice wolf. The lighthouse countryman who had just taken out the grenade no longer hesitated and directly pulled the grenade. Yikes. Several grenades immediately rolled over the snow and came to Jack's side. George and the other 3 players continued to flee in a hurry. At this time, Jack, who was still struggling desperately on the ground, saw this scene and immediately burst into anger and scolded. George. What are you doing? You bastard. George had already run far with his 2 teammates, shouting as he ran. Sorry. Go see God first, Jack. We will pray for you. Thank you for the sacrifice you have made for us. Boom. The grenade exploded, immediately causing massive damage to nearby objects. Woohoo. Although these wind speed ice wolves were amazingly defensive, they could not withstand the close-range attack of these grenades, and they were blown up and scaled. All of them let out a terrible cry. However, their surfaces are covered in ice-like armor and their defenses are staggering. Therefore, only a few people in the center of the explosion were the most seriously injured, either injuring their legs or having suffered a huge impact on their internal organs, lying on the ground and gasping for breath. But it's not so fatal either. Of course, even if they still have the ability to fight, they are also frightened and dare not pursue the lighthouse country players for a while, lest they have similar attacks. After that, the wind speed ice wolves could only watch George and the others run away. After the lighthouse nation runners ran away, they were barely relieved to see that the wind speed ice wolf did not catch up. Kevin had weakly suggested that the grenade explosion should be used to catch these wind speed ice wolves. But George, out of caution, let them run as far as they could. After all, he didn't dare to guarantee that the power of his grenades would completely injure these angry wind speed ice wolves. And they ran, and found that they had not heard the sound of the wind speed ice wolf being killed for so long. Theoretically, the success of the kill should have a hint of the national embargo. So it was even more certain that these wind speed ice wolves were not beings they could deal with. Just in case, or to save lives, retreat is the most important. And at this time, this scene immediately silenced countless viewers. How is that possible? We, the Lighthouse Nation, were the first to suffer casualties. The D-level fierce beast is so terrifying? So how do players from other countries survive? It must be completely destroyed, right? This national embargo is terrible, isn't it? This is our top thermal weapon for humanity. The Lighthouse people who were ready for victory were completely dumbfounded to find that the situation was beyond their own accidents. How confident I was, how disappointed I am now. How much I originally admired the Lighthouse players, now the scolding is how ugly it is. What do you do with the guns in your hands? It's a shame that such a weapon can't kill a monster. The Dragon Nation people can blow themselves to scare away a D-class fierce beast. Do you mean to run away? At the cost of a person's life, he even had to flee into the wilderness, and a D-level fierce beast could not be killed. Strongly condemning the manufacturers of these thermal weapons, they must have cut corners, otherwise, how could this not kill a wolf? At this time, the Dragon Nation finally raised its eyebrows and exhaled. Being able to go to the live broadcast room of the Lighthouse Nation to taunt them, as foreigners did to their own country. Gee, isn't that old beauty? I haven't seen how it collapsed in a few days. You guys can't do this weapon, and they mock us for being millet plus rifles. It's useless to give you fairy weapons. Hearing this, the audience in the Lighthouse country could only say with a hard mouth, wait. What do you Dragon Kingdoms have to be proud of? Sooner or later you will suffer too. Besides, our Lighthouse country is dealing with a wolf pack, and it is understandable to suffer some losses. Our Lighthouse country is so unbearable, you are absolutely worse. You will definitely be directly destroyed by these fierce beasts. And when the crowd is arguing, the sound of the national embargo also resounded around the world. Broadcast of the national transport embargo. Lighthouse Nation player Jack Schwarzenegger is killed by the D-class beast Wind Speed Ice Wolf. Broadcast of the national transport embargo. Lighthouse Nation player Jack Schwarzenegger is killed by the D-class beast Wind Speed Ice Wolf. Broadcast of the national transport embargo. Lighthouse Nation player Jack Schwarzenegger is killed by the D-class beast Wind Speed Ice Wolf. I also don't know whether the national embargo is to give the Lighthouse country face, or to warn other countries, and it is deliberately emphasized 3 times. From the players in the national embargo to the audience outside, all can hear this message. The people of the Lighthouse Nation are even more self-contained. That's it. The whole world knows that their invincible Lighthouse country has failed so much. Shame on you. Since the Lighthouse Nation was the first country to be killed by a ferocious beast, the punishment was doubled. The Lighthouse country reduces mineral resources, water resources, forest resources, and arable land resources by 20%. Lighthouse Nation points reduced by 2,000 points. Current standings, last Lighthouse Nation, minus 2,000 points. Hearing this information, the Dragon Nation people laughed even more. Haha. Didn't your Lighthouse Nation still roar before? I didn't expect to become the penultimate one. I've said this before, but you can't compete for the negative achievement of the first drop of blood, can you? Who made you so arrogant? The other countries, though weak, knew they had to be provoked, so there were no deaths. Before, I also said that the A-level fierce beast was not enough to worry about, but I didn't expect that a D-level fierce beast would cause you to suffer heavy losses. Paying the price of a player, and in exchange for a bunch of punishments, punching in the face? Seeing that you have lost so many resources, do you dare to bully people from other countries in the grain market in the future? When the time comes, you may have to come to ask our Dragon Kingdom to export grain to you, haha. At this time, the Dragon Nation people were more proud than ever. The suffering that I had suffered before can be vented freely at this time. The Lighthouse country is also dumb to eat yellow lien, and there is bitterness that cannot be said. Never mind. Let's pretend to be dumb for the time being. Don't argue with the Dragon Nation. The people of the Dragon Kingdom were in full swing at this time, and they couldn't afford it. I can only curse the Dragon Kingdom players to be unlucky. At this time, the people of the Lighthouse country are already unable to protect themselves. The crisis of resource reduction is about to sweep in. It's completely comparable to the end of the world. This will be the beginning of the decline and even destruction of the Lighthouse Nation. At this time, the Lighthouse country runners, after running a long distance, only stopped breathlessly, with a look of fear. The power of this fierce beast was indeed beyond their imagination. Originally, if they had paid a little attention to these fierce beasts and not been careless, they might still have the opportunity to defeat these fierce beasts without injury. But now, being beaten to death, they say that nothing is useful. Kevin and the others hung their heads in frustration and continued to retreat, trying to find a safe place to rest. And at this time, Suban, between the pillars, and Bayukue in the National Forbidden Land also heard the prompt sound of the Lighthouse country players being killed. Suban and Zhu Jian didn't say a word. The movements of these weak people are not worthy of their attention at all. Only the best friend in front of you is the most important opponent. He couldn't help but spit out, "Isn't this the wolf just now?" Originally called the Wind Speed Ice Wolf, it was a D-level fierce beast, but this Lighthouse country could not win. It is estimated that these weak people have already fled in the wilderness at this time, right? After hearing these words, the Lighthouse country audience in the Dragon Kingdom live broadcast room was, of course, indignant. This abominable doorway. Do you want to be so damaged? Wait. Sooner or later, you will also pay a terrible price. They can only desperately curse the players of the Dragon Kingdom, and quickly be destroyed by the fierce beasts of the Forbidden Land. And the battle between Suban and the Pillar has entered a white-hot stage. Suban's level of play has also improved by leaps and bounds, to the level of 28%. Fighting between the pillars is indeed the best way to improve the level of play. And this also forms a virtuous circle, making Suban stronger and stronger, and then causing more and more oppression between the columns. Between the columns. I haven't seen you for a long time, are you pulling your crotch like this now? Listening to Suban's words, the pillars that could always defeat the Spot were very unpleasant in my heart. Spot, it looks like you've indeed grown. You actually secretly carried me behind my back and became so strong. It's too much. At this time, between the pillars, there is even a little bit of grievance. It was hard to persuade Suban to work with himself. How can you lose such a precious opportunity? Episode 15. The columns were even more desperate at this point. It was already consuming life potential in order to barely block Suban's attack. At the same time, he swore in his heart that he must defeat Suban in order to win the initiative between the two sides. After hearing these words between Suban and the Pillar, the Dragon Kingdom audience was very speechless. The internal struggle between the two of them is really rolled up, and some people secretly become stronger and amaze each other. Ah. They started arguing again. How can it still look like two couples quarreling? Well, Suban is stronger than the pillar, just end the battle as soon as possible. I hope they really have reached the point. Suban will not kill the killer between the pillars. When everyone is talking about it. The Battle of the National Fortunes program group also began to broadcast the latest international trends. Zhang Zhaozhong said solemnly, now I would like to take a look at the latest developments in the Lighthouse Nation. For example, the city of Los Angeles has a big chaos because of the water crisis. After entering the modern era, this kind of turmoil in big cities is really unprecedented. Let's take a look at the video material transmitted by the locals. At this time, countless regions in the Lighthouse country have suffered a tragic disaster of resource reduction. Moreover, the locations chosen by the national embargo are all key attacks. Rather than average subtraction. Empty resources where they are needed. Where resources are not needed, it is nothing. These areas of reduced resources are the most uncomfortable places for the people of the Lighthouse country. It's in the picture. The original bustling and modern cities, such as Los Angeles City, etc., the water provided by the water supply plant has simply disappeared. The sudden collapse of the city's water supply system has left countless people without water for domestic use, and there is no way to continue living. After discovering that the tap has run out of water, a series of vicious chain reactions have occurred in countless cities. Countless self-proclaimed beacons of civilization have fallen into the tide of water grabbing. Bottled water and canned water in the city instantly become hard currency, and the price is more than 1,000 gold. And there is no market, 1,000 US knives a bottle, no one is willing to sell. In the store, there were countless farces of 0 yuan purchase. The order of the whole city has completely collapsed, reduced to a state of disorder like barbarians. Countless panicked residents also poured out of the city, fled in all directions, and began to travel to other areas with water resources. Even the White Palace, the heart of the Lighthouse Nation, was paralyzed by a water crisis. High-ranking officials such as the Grand Commander-in-Chief have even become a luxury to drink water. Helicopters also need to be called remotely to urgently divert water resources. It is a laughingstock that has never been seen before in the Lighthouse Nation. So next. With the shortage of industrial water. The financial industry, the entertainment industry, the business industry, the service industry, all kinds of industries are paralyzed. This is a chain reaction that moves the whole body. In countless agricultural areas, water resources have also been depleted and fallen into drought. It is believed that in a few days, the crops here will die quickly. There may be an extremely serious food crisis in the future. And even more terrible things are happening. Some places that retain water resources are sitting on the ground. Some regional high-level officials are still unwilling to obey the orders of the commander-in-chief and are unwilling to transfer the water resources of their own areas to other regions. To this end, even at the expense of independence. In the face of water requests from other regions, they are completely indifferent and complacent. So a catastrophe of water loss alone is enough to divide the Lighthouse Nation into disintegration. As for the reduction of forest resources and mineral resources, it has also dealt a great blow to various regions and departments. The armaments factories that were desperately producing weapons stopped production and fell into a state where no raw materials were available. The Ministry of Military Industry and other departments are all big headaches. Even think about how to threaten foreign countries and export resources to their countries. They're so busy with it. Seeing such a scene, countless people are very happy. The people of the Woolly Bear Nation quickly taunted the people of the Beacon Nation. The Lighthouse country has mud bodhisattvas across the river itself is difficult to protect. I hope you still manage yourself, don't always meddle in our country's affairs. You Lighthouse Nation think of yourself as the world's police, but your fighting power is really too weak. We fighting people have always lived with wolves or bears, and treating them like pets will be instigated by you. We were already preparing to hunt a D-class beast, but it was only because the beast ran so fast that it wasn't killed by us. The people of the Lighthouse country, who were still high above, had nothing to say in the face of the ridicule of this bear country. And the small countries that were oppressed by the Lighthouse countries in the past are also secretly schadenfreude at this time. The dominance of the Lighthouse Nation is precarious, and more allies are no longer trusting the Lighthouse Nation. Some of the Western countries that were still relatively powerful began to be eager to challenge the hegemony of the Lighthouse countries. No longer recognize the Lighthouse Nation as its boss. So the 20% of the resources lost by the Lighthouse Nation have an impact of more than 20%, which can be said to be 80%. The other side. Originally, he was still talking in his own live broadcast room, but at this time, he was extremely embarrassed, and he didn't know what to say. Countless viewers poured into his live broadcast room and taunted him. "Oh, the country you're on your knees licking seems to be very broken now. Do you still want to blow the lighthouse country again? You have now emigrated to the Lighthouse Nation, and you will not regret it. You two devils should live and die with the Lighthouse Nation. It's time for you to contribute to the people of the Lighthouse. Ha ha ha, you two devils are all low-level beings in the Lighthouse Country, and when the Lighthouse Country is weak, they are unable to protect themselves, and there will definitely be countless people who will take you to the knife. Your property will certainly not be able to keep anything, and it seems that you dare to blow them boiling, freedom and respect for personal property." The short man tightened his heart very much. We can only hope that the Lighthouse Country will quickly change its life against the sky, and there will be a highlight moment again, so that it can continue to blow. After all, at this time, the short and tight has been bound to the Lighthouse Country, so it can only continue to follow this broken ship, and there is no way back. At a time of turmoil in the international situation, the sinister things of the national embargo are still emerging. Suddenly, an incredibly powerful voice appeared in an audience around the world. Dragon Kingdom players were detected to encounter the Forbidden Land beast. 13 D-class beasts, Wind Speed Ice Wolves. Wind Speed Ice Wolf, a wolf clan whose appearance is covered by Shan ice. It's as fast as the wind. Brutal and murderous. When its swarms appeared, even ordinary sea-level beasts had to back down. Hint, in the National Forbidden Land, the levels of beasts, resources, and treasures, from small to large, are F, E, D, C, B, A, S, SS, and SSS. It turned out that it was the wolf pack that had just caused the Lighthouse Nation players to almost be wiped out, and they just happened to meet the Dragon Country players. At this time, the Wind Speed Ice Wolves have become fierce because of the attack of the Lighthouse Nation, and they can't wait to find other humans in other worlds to vent their anger. Just happened to encounter Suban, Pillar, Uzumaki, and Bayuekue in the vicinity. After learning this news, the Dragon Country audience can be said to be completely panicked. Sleeper. Isn't this the Wind Speed Ice Wolf Grand Force just now? Just after the destruction of the Lighthouse Nation, it is the turn of the Dragon Kingdom? In the previous time, they encountered a Wind Speed Ice Wolf, and they could still have a glimmer of hope. But at this moment, facing a dozen Wind Speed Ice Wolves, they really didn't have any confidence at all. Oh, my god. Suban and Zhujian are still fighting. Do they still have a chance to escape? Although this group of Wind Speed Ice Wolves was blown up by the Lighthouse Country, at least none of them were killed, and it was still no problem to run, and it should not be a serious injury. The combat power of the Wind Speed Ice Wolf is definitely still very strong. Even if Suban's people can deal with one head by one person, there are more than a dozen Wind Speed Ice Wolves. How can they cope? The Dragon Nation audience was in a state of extreme tension. At this time, the top level of the Dragon Kingdom no longer hesitated, and immediately ordered the relevant personnel to send a barrage once a week. In this way, inform Suban, Pillar, Door, and Bayuekue 4 people to escape as soon as possible. This is the barrage authority granted to them by the national embargo. They have been waiting for this most urgent moment. Although these tips may not buy much time, they can fight for how much. Unfortunately, those 100 words can't hold much information. In addition to letting them escape, and the information that the Lighthouse people almost fled into the wilderness, it also briefly described the weaknesses of these Wind Speed Ice Wolves. Warning! Dragon Country contestants. Run away. 13 D-class fierce beasts, Wind Speed Ice Wolves approaching. Before, even the Lighthouse players could not beat. At this time, Suban, Pillar, and Bayuekue are about to suffer a catastrophe. Episode 16. Bullet screens from the top of the Dragon Kingdom will appear in front of the Dragon Kingdom players. At the same time, they are informed in the form of a tone. Suban and Zhujian, who were fighting, naturally learned this information. Spots. It seems that something that does not have long eyes is going to disturb our battle. What should we do? Suban laughed heartily. Between the columns. Don't you dare to fight with me, and now that you're behind, you want to find an excuse to escape. After hearing these words, Intercolumn frowned. Just kidding, how could I possibly be scared? Although I don't know what kind of wolf this is, I will destroy as much as I want. Suban looked at the very difficult look between the pillars at this time, and teased the pillars. Oh, I'm afraid these wolves haven't come to us yet. You've been beaten by me. The pillar immediately denied. Nonsense, Spot. I'm still very energetic. In the past, when you fought with me, it was always me who insisted until the end, and I didn't do it so fast. Suban saw through the heart between the pillars. Haha. You don't have to pretend between the pillars, you can't beat me now, and where is the chance to hold out for a few days and nights? What Suban said at this time was indeed not wrong. In the process of fighting with the pillars, Suban's strength climbed extremely fast. Originally, in the battle between Uchiha Ban and the Thousand-Hand Pillar, the Thousand-Hand Pillar relied on its own immortal body, and the more protracted the battle, the greater the advantage. Although in the early stages, Uchiha Ban's attack was more fierce, but as long as the Thousand-Handed Column can be blocked and supported to the later stage, then the Thousand-Hand Column will take full advantage. But now it's different. Previously, the two sides of Uchiha Ban and the Thousand-Hand Pillar were evenly matched. And now, the Suban who fused the Uchiha Spot template has reached 28% of the level of playing, which is much stronger than the pillar at this time. You don't need to drag it to the later stages to defeat the column. Pillar was still wondering in his heart. Although the battle in this country's embargoed land also allowed me to recover my strength quickly. But Spot's recovery speed is obviously faster than mine. Is he really improving? Am I no longer his opponent? Damn, I can't be defeated by Bane. Otherwise, how can we make him obediently obey his own orders, and how can he obediently fight side by side with himself and gallop on the battlefield? Thinking of the ideal in his heart, he will command Suban in the future and assist himself in fighting together. The battle in the heart of the pillar became more and more turbulent. You have to defeat Suban. Now. Seeing Suban and Zhu Jian and learning that the wolves were coming, he had no intention of fleeing, and even became more and more courageous. The Dragon Nation people were completely desperate. How much hatred is there between Suban and the pillar? Is this the legendary martial fool of the Dragon Kingdom martial arts? After encountering an opponent who feels sorry for each other, do you have to fight even if you die? It doesn't matter if you're dead, but you're now bound to our country's luck. Even if you want to fight, can't you run away and fight again? Not bad. In the picture, we can all see this group of wind speed ice wolves. Even if they want to run, they have no chance to run. Alas, why didn't this Bayuekue person persuade Suban and the others? How they still seem indifferent. At this time Uzumaki and Bayuekue, of course, also heard the bullet curtain prompt of the Dragon Kingdom. They did find it a little troublesome, and a very helpless expression appeared on their faces. But there was absolutely no fear. Bayuekue also inquired with great interest. It seems that we can no longer stand idly by. This pack of wolves should not be frightened. Akima also nodded. I don't want to pay attention to it, but if they interfere with the battle between my eldest brother and Suban, it will be very troublesome. It seems that these wolves must be solved. Lest Suban lose to my eldest brother, he would still use this excuse to play lie. Listening to what they said, it seemed that they were not worried about these wolves at all, but were worried about the impact on the battle between Suban and the pillar. These words made the Dragon Kingdom audience all listen to one of the first two big. Together, they don't worry about these wolves, only worry about their influence on the fight between the pillars and Suban. Is it really a battle to the death? Can't they persuade the people of Zhujian and Suban to run quickly? Even if the lighthouse people had guns, they were still beaten and fled, and one died. How can we Dragon Country players win, at a time when everyone was extremely worried? The wind speed ice wolves have reached the front of the gate and the White Moon K. Only to see a wolf in the vanguard, the first to reach the front of the door. Seeing the situation, the expression on his face was still calm. Disturb my eldest brother and Spot's battle, it's not good. Moreover, after seeing Bayuekue in the corner of his eye, he also said a reminder. Bayuekue, you stand still and don't move, it's enough for me to shoot. As soon as the words fell, the sword was finally drawn out. This wind speed ice wolf was slashed in the head by the door. A crimson line suddenly appeared on the forehead of the wind speed ice wolf and penetrated all over the body. Swish. This wind speed ice wolf suddenly fell to the ground, his body frozen, extremely strange. In the midst of silence, blood continued to gush out from the bloodline, and this wind speed ice wolf slowly split in two. Both sides of the body fall at the same time. The blood rain instantly sprinkled a 10-meter radius nearby. In the fierce eyes of the wind speed ice wolf, there was still the panic before death. It may not know how it died before it dies. Subsequently, in the shocked and frightened eyes of the wolves, the door was holding a large knife, and with a momentary technique, he rushed into the wolf pack. He began a fierce battle with the wind speed ice wolf. Wrong. It's the slaughter. At this time, Bayuekue, who was holding the Tang Dao, was also a little stunned. Do you still want to attack these wind speed ice wolves? It seems that one person in the room is enough. Bayuekue originally wanted to kill a few wind speed ice wolves. However, she was told not to shoot, and stood in the front, stopping all the wind speed ice wolves, and calmly coped. She didn't want to rush over to help. Bayuekue smiled and began to watch the hands of this room. Now. After seeing this scene, the audience in the Dragon Kingdom live broadcast room was stunned for a while. It's even more intimidating than the last time I scared away the wind speed ice wolf. Doubt your eyes and brain again. After a while, someone reacted, and suddenly, countless barrages of bullets erupted. Oh my god, one man killed a wolf, yeah. And only with one knife. His knife also looks unremarkable. Is it still more powerful than the guns of the Lighthouse Countrymen? Even if the gun hits these wind speed ice wolves, it can only cause minor injuries. It can be seen from this that the defenses of these wind speed ice wolves are very strong. How can they be hacked to death with ordinary knives? Is it really a unique sword for blowing hair and breaking hair? Or maybe Uzumaki is really a martial arts master, Haha, we Dragon Kingdom finally have saved. Meantime, the sound of the national embargo also sounded. Congratulations to Dragon Country players Suban, Pillar, Hasama, and Bayuekue. Dragon Kingdom kills D-class creatures. Be the first country to kill D-class creatures. It is also the first kill of the national embargo. Dragon Kingdom will receive additional rewards. All the contestants of the Dragon Kingdom, Suban, Pillar, Akima, and Bayuekue, received D-class treasure chests. Kill the D-class beast and reward 1,500 points. Dragon Country earns double points, 3,000 points. At present, Dragon Country is ranked first in the national fortune standings. 3,000 points in total. Lighthouse Country is at the bottom of the national game standings, with a total of minus 2,000 points. I hope other countries continue to refuel. Hint, the beasts, resources, and treasure levels of the Forbidden Land are F, E, D, C, B, A, S, SS, and SSS in order from small to large. The standings are settled weekly and reward the winners according to the rankings. The specific reward will depend on the average strength of each player, and the first settlement reward may be the start of the D-class chest reward. After the contestants are strong enough, the settlement reward may reach the S-level treasure chest reward to start. The next moment, the people of the Dragon Kingdom rejoice. Episode 17. Hearing the sound of the national embargo, the audience of the Dragon Country was even more excited. Ha ha ha, our Dragon Kingdom players were the first to complete the kill. What a bonus, there are such rich rewards. Earn hemp, who dares to say that we Dragon Country players can't do it? Our Dragon Kingdom has actually reached the top. So impressed. It seems that it is not that these wind speed ice wolves are too strong, but that the Lighthouse players are too weak. Haha. Even the national transport embargo is whipping the corpses of the Lighthouse Country, specifically pointing out his penultimate position, laughing at me. The Lighthouse Nation must refuel. Hurry up and get rid of this disgraceful nickname, now. The national pride and self-confidence of the Dragon Kingdom are once again on the rise. Morale soared. The strength of the Dragon Kingdom players is indeed well-deserved. The fortunes of the Dragon Kingdom will surely flourish. And at this time, it turned out that the foreign devils who were still waiting to see the lively Dragon Kingdom were dumbfounded. Sleeper. This? How can that be? This is a wind speed ice wolf that even we Lighthouse people can't kill. The Dragon Nation people can solve it with a single knife. What a fantasy. This is definitely not the monster that the Lighthouse people have just encountered. Is it true that the Dragon Kingdom's national fortunes are unstoppable? And after that, the heart of the Lighthouse thief does not die. Find ways to excuse these scenarios. Damn, definitely not because the Dragon Nation is strong. It must be because of our Lighthouse countrymen. These wind speed ice wolves have been half crippled, and you can pick up the cheap ones. Yeah, if our Lighthouse Nation players had repaired their knives earlier, they might have been able to wipe out these wind speed ice wolves. If I had known such a thing, I should have let the Lighthouse players not be afraid first, and directly destroyed all these wind speed ice wolves. Wind speed ice wolves may only have one breath left now. You guys picked it up a big bargain. They can be said to be angry at this time. Only blind Black Dragon Country. Seeing the grief-stricken look of the Lighthouse people, the Dragon Country audience certainly would not let go of this great opportunity to mock them. Alright, you Lighthouse people are very weak. Admit it, didn't you see that these wind speed ice wolves are running very fast? It looks like you've been seriously injured. It is clear that our Dragon Country players are too strong. You can see the speed of their attack. It's not far from when they attacked the Lighthouse Nation players just now. You Lighthouse people were frightened by these wind speed ice wolves and fled, and you said that you were half crippled, and you really didn't want to face it. Grabbing people's heads is not like this. The Dragon Nation people began to punch the Lighthouse people in a fancy way. For more free Falu novels, https://discord.gg/bpy8hmhp. Before, the Lighthouse Nation also said that it would kill these wind speed ice wolf troops as a way to help our Dragon Kingdom solve its troubles. As a result, you almost died, haha. What a slap in the face. Now, in turn, we're helping you out of trouble. The so-called powerful lighthouse country is the first to the bottom, and the dragon country is the first? What a laugh. At this time, the Dragon Kingdom people can be said to have raised their eyebrows and breathed out as never before. Damage the lighthouse nation to the extreme. Meantime, in addition to the audience, the news of the first kill broadcast of the Dragon Kingdom can also be heard by other players in the national transport embargo. After hearing this news, all the players in the national embargo were slightly shocked. Dragon Country players have already taken the lead in receiving rewards? Didn't you even kill a D-level beast? Then our Monkey Country was chased by an E-level fierce beast before, which is really shameful. When we in the Maple Leaf Country encounter an E-level fierce beast, we will immediately retreat. Is it too conservative? After all, the Dragon Kingdom can defeat the D-level fierce beasts. The players who were still very jealous of the fierce beasts at this time had many bold ones, and they were eager to move again. Dragon Country, why can't they? It has to work. Runners from Indonesia's West Asian countries. They began to analyze this carefully, but it's not right. This wind speed ice wolf seems to be the fierce beast that appeared before to kill the players of the Lighthouse Nation, right? Yes. The father of the Lighthouse Country could not beat it. How could the Dragon Country be able to fight it? Maybe it's because the Lighthouse Nation is facing a pack of wolves, but the Dragon Nation is facing a lone wolf? Maybe the dead player also beat the wind speed ice wolf to half maim, but did not collect the residual blood. As a result, in the process of escaping, this wind speed ice wolf was picked up by the hateful Dragon Kingdom people. The people of these forbidden places could not see the live broadcast room of the Dragon Kingdom. Add to that the rejection of the Dragon Nation, and the brainless kneeling licking of the Lighthouse Nation. So that's all that can be guessed. Maybe that's not their serious analysis either. They just want to take advantage of the opportunity of the national embargo to broadcast live to the world to please their masters. Meanwhile, similar statements have been staged in other countries. Anyway, it must have been the Dragon Kingdom people who used insidious means. The Dragon Kingdom certainly couldn't have been more powerful, so it seems that it should be easy for us in the White Elephant Kingdom to kill a sea-level fierce beast, right? Hey. Where the players of the Stick Nation are located. Kim Jong-woo walked, put on makeup, and trembled and said, the hateful Dragon Kingdom player actually completed the first kill so quickly, and people didn't believe it. And wasn't this D-class beast the one who killed the Lighthouse Nation players before? Could it be that the Dragon Nation people were despicable and stole the reward of the father of the Lighthouse Nation? Oops. This wind is so annoying, people's makeup is going to fall off. Thinking that so many people are watching their own live broadcast, Kim Jong-woo always cares about his own image. You can complete the task of the national embargo by yourself. So the image must not be destroyed. Other Stick Country players echoed, that's right. That's definitely it. The abominable Dragon Kingdom people will only use this way. It's really not about sportsmanship. We can't be left behind either. Let them see how strong the Stick Country team with the highest appearance is. Look how I show these fierce beasts. Take a C-class beast and cut it first. They were all shouting loudly at this time, very dissatisfied with the lead of the Dragon Nation. Where the Sakura Nation players are located. Miyamoto Chiyuki, who was walking in front, heard the tone and said disapprovingly, oh, Yamamoto. You see that even such an incomplete Dragon Kingdom person took the lead in completing it. Do we mean to go so slowly? They all blame you for walking so slowly. Yamamoto, who was at the bottom of Sakura's status, looked miserable and complained, then you will help me get some luggage, and everyone will put the luggage on me. Who can stand this? They skimmed their lips and said, oh, you're a junior, just honestly carry your luggage. You are not expected in battle, and if you don't behave better in other aspects, do you mean to live? Yamamoto stared at their backs with a vicious gaze, his eyes like knives, as if he wanted to slash the person in front of him with 1,000 knives. There are still words in the mouth. How can it be repaired? I am sure to solve all the enemies in front of me, and I will kill whoever stops me. I will never let go of the people who humiliate me. The next time I encounter a beast, I have to play first to see if I can get the treasure chest reward. Where the Lighthouse Nation players are located. Kevin Harrison, George Smith, and Bryce Armstrong were also shocked like never before. Isn't this the wind speed ice wolf that just killed us? How could the Dragon Nation people be killed? Damn, is this Dragon Kingdom so powerful? Is it really all Dragon Kingdom Kung Fu? Damn. It must have been that they encountered the wind speed ice wolf that fell alone, and it really made them pick up a big bargain. Shameful Dragon Nation, our Lighthouse Nation. Before he could finish speaking, a voice was once again broadcast to all the contestants and the audience. Congratulations to the Dragon Kingdom player Uzumaki for slaying the D-level biological wind speed ice wolf. Dragon Kingdom once again awards 1,500 points. Congratulations to the Dragon Kingdom player Uzumaki for slaying the D-level biological wind speed ice wolf. Dragon Kingdom once again awards 1,500 points. In addition, extra tip, killing the wind speed ice wolf can get attribute point rewards from the spirit, strength, speed, and other aspects of the player's combat strength. At the end of the battle, these attribute point rewards will be settled uniformly. Kevin Harrison, George Smith, Bryce Armstrong. What the heck? Actually killed 2 wind speed ice wolves? Are the Dragon Kingdom people really not relying on luck? For a time, the Lighthouse Country, Monkey Country, Cherry Blossom Country, Stick Country, and other players who were not optimistic about the Dragon Country felt that they were punched in the face and did not know what to say. It was as if my heart was worse than eating countless flies. Episode 18. At the thought that Hama could kill so many wind speed ice wolves, and also get rewards after that, foreigners were all envious and jealous. This abominable doorway. Why is it so powerful? Is the Dragon Kingdom really so strong? Countless foreign devils and viewers are staring at the Dragon Kingdom live broadcast room, wanting to see what secrets there are when the door room can be so strong. In particular, the top brass of major countries has dispatched countless military scientists, fighting experts, physicists, and so on. Conduct a comprehensive analysis of the door without dead ends. It is necessary to understand the mystery of the ability in this room. At this time, in the national embargo, he was still battling these wind speed ice wolves. The leading wolf of the wind speed ice wolf saw that the gate was so powerful, and as if he were on the verge of a great enemy, he ordered all the wolves to attack the gate. He saw himself surrounded by so many wolves, but he didn't panic in the slightest. Still muttering to his own analysis, it seems that their speed is average, and their defense power is average, and they can solve it with only a knife. After all, at this time, like Suban and Zhu Jian, it was also under the constraints of the rules of the national transport embargo, and it was not familiar with the way to make and transfer chakras here. Therefore, to deal with these weak beasts, he had better use swordplay, and chakra could save it. This is the combat strategy that should be adopted when performing missions in the unknown. The next moment, as soon as the words fell, another wind speed ice wolf swooped in. The solid ice-like armor that their bullets couldn't easily penetrate could not even block the understatement of the door. Like decaying wood, it is directly divided into 2. Boom! Another roar of gold and iron. Subsequently, another wind speed ice wolf fell directly to the ground. Whenever the sword light flashed between the doors, it was accompanied by the blood of the ice wolf at the speed of the wind. It didn't take long. Above the snow-white, flawless snow, it had been completely stained red with blood. Rivers of blood. The ice that was still incomparably strong did not know whether it was under the luck of the door or the temperature of the wolf's blood, and it quickly melted. Congratulations to the Dragon Kingdom player Uzumaki for slaying the D-level biological wind speed ice wolf. Dragon Kingdom once again awards 1,500 points. Congratulations to the Dragon Kingdom player Uzumaki for slaying the D-level biological wind speed ice wolf. Dragon Kingdom once again awards 1,500 points. The continuous broadcast of the national transport embargo has made countless players in the national embargo, as well as the audience outside the venue, completely dumbfounded. Such a powerful D-level fierce beast, like a sadistic dish, was constantly being destroyed by the Dragon Kingdom. I don't know, I really think that these wind speed ice wolves are paper paste. Seeing the outstanding performance between the doors, Bayuekue couldn't help but be secretly surprised. It seems that this room is indeed not a trivial character. The wind speed ice wolf that had fallen alone before was indeed directly frightened by the murderous chi that had been immersed in the battlefield for many years. The grim and ruthless, granite-like angular face of the statue, I don't know how many battles have been forged. Under the series of attacks from the door, the ice wolves, who were still imposing, were already weakened at this time, and they all felt desperate. Even the leading wolf of the wind speed ice wolf had to admit, if they continue to fight, they will inevitably be wiped out. He immediately looked around to see the environment. Finding that Suban and Pillar Jian were still fighting, they didn't seem to look at each other at all, and they didn't care about the battle between the pillars at all. And not far from the door, there is a weak woman. White Moon K. This should be a weakness they can target. At this thought, the leading wolf could only decide to die and struggle. He let out a wolf howl, and his gaze shifted to Bayuekue, signaling the other wind speed ice wolves close to Bayuekue to strike. A wind speed ice wolf understood the leader's meaning, and immediately shot out, ready to pounce on Bayuekue and launch a fatal blow at it. Bayuekue was still indifferent, looking at the rapidly approaching wind speed ice wolf. The tang knife in his hand trembled slightly, ready to strike. After approaching the white moon kuei, the wind speed ice wolf flew away, and the fangs in his mouth and the claws on his feet flashed coldly, which was breathtaking. But Bayuekue's sword light shone even more. In the midst of the huge cracking sound, Bayuekue swung out his sword. The knife light completely exploded. Shocking. However, at the same time as the wind speed ice wolf flew and jumped, the ears listening to the 8 directions also sensed the attack that Bayuekue had encountered. Even if Bayuekue was full of confidence at this time, he didn't want her to take a shot. In order to protect his teammates, he subconsciously quickly pulled out several palm-sized bitter nothingness and flew towards this wolf. Whoosh! The 3 bitter nothings with Chakra's power were nailed directly to the body of the sneaking wolf, making it scream bitterly. The originally fierce and incomparable figure also suddenly stagnated, and could only watch Bayuekue's sword light completely envelop it. Sonorous. The light of the knife is like the moon, and the sword is like a rainbow. The attacks of Uzumaki and Bayuekue were almost in no particular order, causing them to suffer heavy blows. Wind speed ice wolf's intestines pierced his stomach and fell heavily to the ground. Looking at Bayuekue's gaze, he was full of unwillingness. A national embargo sounded again. Congratulations to the Dragon Kingdom player Uzumaki for slaying the D-level biological wind speed ice wolf. Dragon Kingdom once again awards 1,500 points. Bayuekue. The old lady's wolf head was robbed. What an infuriating thing. Unexpectedly, this wind speed ice wolf jumped in front of her, and he was ready to shoot, or was solved by the door. Obviously, I can deal with it myself. Is that what it's like to lie and win? Looking at the doorway that was still a few meters away, Bayuekue's eyes were very complicated. I don't know if I should express my gratitude or be speechless. This scene made the Dragon Kingdom live broadcast room exclaim continuously. Sleeper. Is this the Dark Master? Flying knife between the doors, no false hair. I didn't expect that in addition to being a swordplay master, I was also a dark weapon master. It's really out of the blue, it's hard to prevent it. Steady. Steady. Such a player is simply no defensive dead end. Miss Bayuekue has drawn her sword. So handsome and sassy, haha. You see the look in the little sister's eyes, very speechless. Is that what it's like to be spoiled? Haha, this room looks cold, but in fact, it is also a warm man, who has always wanted to protect Bayuekue when fighting. Of course, the crowd did not know, this dark weapon is bitter because of the power of chakra, so it can go so fast, so strong, and easily break the wind speed ice wolf. And after that, the crowd also began to analyze Bayuekue's shot that was at most half a time. Her knife is really not a common thing, it looks pretty cool. Then again, how strong is the combat effectiveness of this white moon kuei? If she doesn't have a shot from the door, can she solve this wind speed ice wolf? Well, it's really hard to say. It seems that the dark weapon was shot out first before it was killed. However, if she can be selected to enter the national transport embargo, her teammates are not simple, and Bayuekue should not be worse than that, right? I'm still worried that something will happen to this little sister. After all, these fierce beasts are not simple. Everyone was amazed. At the same time, he also made a few jokes about Bayuekue. On the screen. After seeing this scene, the wind speed ice wolves were completely mentally broken. The speed of this room can be said to be out of the blue. Even the wind speed ice wolf, who is known for his speed, was tingled by Shou's scalp. Totally desperate. This man's speed is simply not comparable to theirs. Congratulations to the Dragon Kingdom player Uzumaki for slaying the D-level biological wind speed ice wolf. Dragon Kingdom once again awards 1,500 points. Congratulations to the Dragon Kingdom player Uzumaki for slaying the D-level biological wind speed ice wolf. Dragon Kingdom once again awards 1,500 points. After a while, the number of wind speed ice wolves has become less and less. In this 100,000 fiery moment, the leader of the wind speed ice wolf could only take the risk. The leading wolf gave an order and signaled the wolves to sneak up on Suban and the pillar who were fighting. The wolves as a whole fought and retreated, slowly moving towards the position between Suban and the pillar. Although the hats were fighting desperately, they could only slightly delay their castration. As a whole, they were still close to the place where the pillars and Suban fought. After approaching the place between Suban and the pillar, the leading wolf had already made a desperate bet, and the other wolf was ready to attack, ready to encircle Wei and save Zhao. By attacking Suban and between the pillars. In order to force the flaws to be exposed. Several wolves knew that they had to cover for their leader, so they did not hesitate to be slashed by the door, and they also had to drag the door to death, so that their companions could launch a fatal blow. And the plan of the Wind Speed Ice Wolf, the Dragon Country audience naturally vaguely saw it. They are also very anxious about this. If the Wind Speed Ice Wolf seized the opportunity, Suban and the pillar may really have an accident. Even if there is no death, if the injury is serious, it is extremely bad. Subsequently, in the eyes of the Dragon Kingdom audience, the wolf leader and the other wolf jumped up and pounced on the nearby pillar at the same time. The pillar was at this time at a disadvantage, and had been seriously dealing with Suban's attack. On the surface, it looked like he had not noticed the situation behind him. And Suban, in the course of the battle, has been opening his own kaleidoscope riding wheel eye. Give him extremely powerful dynamic vision and insight. Every movement on the battlefield could not be concealed from Suban. Seeing the Wind Speed Ice Wolf sneaking up on Suban, his eyes suddenly exploded with endless killing chances. Hee hee. You're fighting with the pillars, what are you going to do? When, in the battle between two peerless masters, can you take your turn to intervene? Disturb me, and the battle between the pillars, the sin is unforgivable. Episode 19. Although Suban also knew that with the ability between the pillars, he should not be attacked by these weak wolves. But if the pillars are forced to defend and expose the flaws, then it is not interesting to take advantage of the opportunity to win the pillars. Suban snorted coldly, did not care about consumption, and directly launched the kaleidoscope riding wheel eye. Airplanes. Kaleidoscope riding wheel eye rotation at lightning speed. Kaleidoscope riding wheel eye level illusion unleashed. At this time, the two wolves were still rapidly approaching between the columns. Aware of all this, he also flashed a cold glow in his eyes. He also didn't want these wolves to affect the battle between Suban and the pillars. So he immediately threw a special bitter nothing out and pointed it at the leading wolf. Swish. The bitter nothing that shot out of it immediately inserted into the tail of the leading wolf. This leading wolf couldn't help but be shocked and produce severe pain. But it is also indeed worthy of being the leading wolf of the Wind Speed Ice Wolf, and it is still much stronger than the ordinary Wind Speed Ice Wolf. When there is no pain in the body, it can also issue a cold blow. He endured the pain, but still mobilized the last strength in his body, and jumped up with the other wolf. Kill the pillars at all costs. But in midair, the two wolves shook violently and suddenly stopped in midair. Their eyes were uncontrollably staring at Suban's kaleidoscope riding wheel. These fierce beasts all felt that they had suddenly been stripped out of the real space and came to an alien dimension of the spiritual realm, unable to move. The sensory system, the thinking system, the blood circulation in the mind, all of them are paralyzed. Kaleidoscope riding the illusion of the eye of the wheel. Officially launched. It was a skill that Wind Speed Ice Wolves had never heard of before, so they couldn't even figure out what was happening. In a short moment, for these two Wind Speed Ice Wolves, it was as long as tens of hours. And in the real world, the Wind Speed Ice Wolf had just been controlled by Suban for a moment. The figure in the doorway suddenly flashed. Then appear out of thin air, behind the leading wolf. This is one of the most buggy space skills. Flying Thunder's magic. In the bitterness of the one thrown between the two just now, it left the seal of the Flying Thunder God. The caster can use the magic teleportation to come to the place where the seal of the Flying Thunder God is located. Before the opponent can react, he can defeat the enemy with one blow. When he grabbed the Flying Thunder God's seal in his left hand, he also swung the sword in his hand with his right hand. Swish. In the shocked eyes of countless spectators, the head of the Wind Speed Ice Wolf leader in front of him separated. Followed by, the hint of the national embargo is in the sky. Congratulations to the Dragon Kingdom player Uzumaki for slaying the D-level biological Wind Speed Ice Wolf. Dragon Kingdom once again awards 1,500 points. When killing the leading wolf, Hasama also quickly discovered the strange appearance of the two wolves. Their eyes, all engraved with the shape of kaleidoscopic riding wheel eyes. It's weird. Hatsuma, who knows very well about Suban's riding wheel eyes, naturally knows what is happening. Originally, he used the Flying Thunder God technique in order to teleport past in order to solve the trouble of these two wolves. If it wasn't for the extreme urgency, Uzumaki wouldn't have consumed so much chakra to use the Flying Thunder God technique. After all, at this time, like Suban and Zhu Jian, it was also under the constraints of the rules of the national transport embargo, and it was not familiar with the manufacturing and retrieval methods of chakra. So he had only used swordplay before, and chakra could save it. Now, realizing that Suban had written the wheel eye with his own kaleidoscope, he controlled the two Wind Speed Ice Wolves. He just said a little. Sorry to have snatched your prey. After all, coming here to rescue the people was a bit redundant. Moreover, he had received the attribute point reward of the wolf leader, and he barely snatched Suban's prey, so he still had to simply say sorry. As soon as the words fell out, he stopped talking, and even ignored the other wolf, and continued to rush into the wolf pack and start slaughtering again. All this is said sooner or later. From the wind speed ice wolf flying to the scene, the bitter shot with the seal of the flying thunder god, to the wind speed ice wolf being controlled by Suban's illusion, and then to the flying thunder god technique between the doors, and the wind speed ice wolf was killed along the trend. It's actually what happened in a second. Before the audience could react, they saw the blade that had killed a wind speed ice wolf and returned to the pack again. All this makes them completely dumbfounded. The Dragon Kingdom live broadcast room seemed to explode, and a dense barrage of bullets poured out. Sleeper. What just happened? How can I see the flowers in my eyes, only to know that a wolf was killed in the doorway? My eyesight is not bad, and all I see is that suddenly it seems to be a flash, and it comes to the side of this leading wolf. It was understandable that he had killed the leading wolf with a knife, but why did he apologize to Suban? I don't know, I'm already dumbfounded anyway. The perspective in the Dragon Kingdom live broadcast room has always been a close-up. The flying thunder god technique between the doors is instantaneous. So the camera didn't have time to capture the movement between the doors. The crowd only saw the sudden disappearance of the door in the picture, and then the eyes switched. Although I will be shocked by the speed of the door, I will simply think that the speed of the door is too fast. And later, after seeing that only one wolf had been killed, and then went back again, the crowd was even more confused. Slow down. Only one wolf was killed? On the other end, how could he not care, huh? You see this other wolf, it seems to be motionless, as if frozen? Everyone was confused at this time. In the case of silence, the other wolf was killed with a hidden weapon, and we still can't see it. But this other wolf doesn't seem to have any wounds, just stands. That's right. The other wolf before that was scared away by the door, so this wolf was directly scared silly? Combined with the sorry I said before, I always feel that this matter is not very simple, but I can't say why. Everyone was puzzled at this time. And from the perspective of the live broadcast room, they can't see the face of the wind speed ice wolf, they can only see its motionless back. So in the end, it can only be explained by the reason that this wind speed ice wolf is scared silly. But I also think this explanation is a bit far-fetched. As for the foreigners at this time, the mood was exactly the same as that of the wind speed ice wolves, and they were completely broken. How can it be? How could these Dragon Kingdom people be so powerful? It's so uncomfortable. Seeing the Dragon Kingdom kill people and get a steady stream of rewards, they are even worse than they are punished themselves. This is also too strong. How can the Dragon Kingdom people be so powerful? It must be open and hanging. I don't care, anyway, I must have been beaten half-maimed by our lighthouse people, and these wind speed ice wolves were picked up by them. We, the Lighthouse Nation, strongly condemn the Dragon Nation, and it is only fair that we must return these points to us immediately, or give back the corresponding resources to us. At this time, the foreign devils, because of the performance of Suban and Uzumaki and others, are indeed completely mentally broken. They are in a hurry. Episode 20. Seeing the statements of these lighthouse people who did not admit defeat, the audience of the Dragon Country tried their best to refute it. I see that you lighthouse people are very faceless. If you have half the strength of the door, you will not be beaten into the wilderness and flee. The audience of the Bear Country also began to rage at the Lighthouse Nation. The weak will not be willing to admit the strength of others. I am very happy for the strength of the friendly Dragon Kingdom. I hope we can reach a strategic partnership with Dragon Country. We very much need such a strong ally as Dragon Country players. You lighthouse countries, who, in the name of fairness, meddle in the affairs of other countries, but only seek their own personal interests, are the most disgraceful. You can't manage it well within your own country. Before the resource crisis in the Lighthouse Nation, those areas where resources were still much retained were not equally indifferent to other states. Then you're still willing to let other countries come and give you benefits? Hearing these people's rebuttals, these lighthouse people are really speechless. They can only muddy the waters and find ways to find the black spots of the Dragon Kingdom players. This is to demoralize the Dragon Kingdom. That's right. How do you see this wind speed ice wolf standing still? Yes. Before you said that you scared away a wind speed ice wolf, you can barely explain, but this is ready to attack, all suddenly motionless, absolutely cheating, right? That's right. No wonder the weapons of our lighthouse country are so small, they must have been targeted, and you guys, the power of the broken copper and rotten iron must be strengthened, it's so unfair. It is recommended that the national transport embargo cancel the Dragon Country's qualifications. We must let the Dragon Kingdom people prove their innocence. At this time, although the Dragon Kingdom audience did not know that this wind speed ice wolf had been hit by the illusion, they also knew that this must be related to the Dragon Country players. So very proud to speak one after another. If you get it, you don't want to be sour. When your lighthouse nation encounters wind speed ice wolves, why don't they stay still? They're just frightened by our Dragon Nation players. Is there a problem? Couldn't have been more appropriate. At a time when there is a lot of discussion. Extremely wonderful scenes are still being staged in the national embargo. At the moment when he used the Flying Thunder God technique and killed a wind speed ice wolf, Pillar Ma also realized something, quickly turned back, and saw the leading wolf and the front. Naturally, he also understood what had just happened. When he returned to the wolves, Pillar also said loudly, "Thank you, brother, but you are still too worried about me, just such a thing, I stand and let him hit, he may not be able to cause harm to me. Also, you don't have to shoot." Hearing this, Suban also said dismissively, "Huh. Your mouth is quite hard between the pillars. Rest assured, don't feel like you're taking advantage of me, even if I solve these wolves, it won't take much effort." At this time, he was still fighting the wolves, and he didn't have time to say anything more. Pillar between the pillars still seemed to be a little too careless, feeling that the battle with Suban must be fair. Spots. I think for the sake of fairness, hoo-hoo. You still have to consume about the same amount of physical strength as you do, or I. Suban directly interrupted him. "Alright, Pillar, you're still such a mother-in-law. Keep fighting. You're on the verge of defeat anyway." Gasping for breath when he spoke. "Let me crush you in one fell swoop. I don't even need to use ninjutsu, it's disappointing to me." As he spoke, Suban continued to force the pillars into a desperate situation. Although the pillars possess immortal bodies, they are also bound by the national transport embargo and cannot provide a steady stream of vitality. Suban's attack was so fierce and terrible, he also had to consume a lot of chakra to resist Suban's attack. Anyway, under the long and negative, the physical exertion between the pillars is faster than that of Suban. As for ninjutsu, it is also impossible to use advanced ninjutsu under the rules of the national transportation embargo. Even if it is a wooden escape, it can only be a small-scale defensive wooden escape. Therefore, even with ninjutsu, Pillar Mama knew that he would not be Suban's opponent. It will only increase the physical exertion in vain, so that the gap between the two sides will be further widened. And in the real world, these few words written lightly by Suban and Zhu Jian made the onlookers look dumbfounded. Suban and Zhu Jian are really arrogant. Even if these wolves sneak up on them when they fight, they can't play a role? They are still the strongest in terms of pretending. And why can't I understand their conversation? Suban seems to have shot? Do you still feel that you have taken advantage of the column? Yeah, inexplicably. Haven't they been fighting? How can anyone suffer a loss? However, because what Suban and Zhu Jian have always done is unbelievable. So what can't be thought of, the audience quickly selectively forgets. They continued to talk about it. It seems that the pillars really can't last long. Their battle is finally over. Then again, I'm curious now, who is stronger in Suban, between the pillars, and between the pillars? In this regard, the crowd immediately began to seriously analyze. Theoretically, looking at the performance between Suban and the pillar before, it seems that you don't put the door in your eyes, right? So they should be stronger? But I really don't dare to say that the record at this time is real. Just now, the speed of the door was so fast, almost like a teleportation, it killed a surprise wolf, and even scared the other wolf not to move. It is estimated that it is not weaker than Suban and Zhu Jian and others. Besides, the national prohibition says that slaying the beast can get the attribute point reward. He had just killed so many wolves and obtained so many attribute increases. Even if it was a little worse before, it was not necessarily worse than Suban and the pillar now. The performance of the door just now is really amazing. His status in the hearts of the people was greatly enhanced, even stronger than that of Zhu Jian and Suban. After all, Zhu Jian and Suban are only the fights of insiders, but they have a real record. In particular, the flashing slash between the doors can be described as an antelope hanging horns, and there is nowhere to be found. And at this time, the Strategic Analysis Department of Longwar recorded the video just now and then carefully observed it. And the most important thing is to analyze the flash between the doors. They were also surprised to find the moment between the doors. This is indeed far beyond the speed they imagined. They saw the figure of the door disappear from one place, and then the picture flashed again, and the door appeared not far away almost instantaneously, and killed a wind speed ice wolf. The analysis experts of the Dragon Kingdom even slowed down his video countless times, but they did not see clearly how this trick of the door came about. It's like a ghost. They can only draw one conclusion: the door is really strong. Dragon Kingdom has such a player, which is definitely a great luck for Dragon Country. And after that, more questions lingered in their minds. How strong is the peak strength between Suban and the pillar? Will it be stronger than the door? These experts have worked hard to find answers to these questions. On the screen. Swish. A wind-speed ice wolf once again fell apart and became the undead of his men. Once again, as before, he destroyed these D-level fierce beasts. Looking at the heroic performance of the door at this time, Byakuya couldn't help but frown and ponder. The fact that he could deal with so many wind-speed ice wolves was also within the scope of Byakuya's understanding. And the dark weapon attack just now, although extremely fast, did not shock Byakuya. Until I saw the figure of the door just now, and saw that he came to the back of the pillar almost instantaneously, and killed the scene of the wind-speed ice wolf, it really scared Byakuya. The speed of this room is also amazing, right? Why can't even I see through his actions? To exaggerate a little, it's like flashing in an instant. The first glance is still surrounded by wolves, the next glance is to kill the wind-speed ice wolf. The speed is simply jaw-dropping. In addition, there are some subtle and imperceptible phenomena that Byakuya can't forget. The two wind-speed ice wolves that had just attacked between the pillars suddenly stopped in the air. Because then the door suddenly appeared and killed him. So many viewers ignore this. And the other wolf, at this time, still can't move. What does this have to do with it? Doesn't it seem like a doorway? Could it be the two men who are fighting, especially Susanoo, who can see the wind-speed ice wolf? For a moment, Byakuya was full of doubts again,